As I was preparing to write the script for this video, I noticed that nobody has made a simplified walkthrough of how to make yellow science in Factorio. So my mission today is to break it down so easily that my mom could understand how to do it, and she hasn't used a computer since the housing crisis of 2008. Personally, I'm a very visual person, so I laid out all of the base resources that we are going to need in order to bake this whole cake in the first place. However, chat quickly pointed out that we would want to at least double our inputs for both copper and iron plates before beginning production as well. I also realized that in the middle of this chaos of preparation, we are about to win the game, so if you enjoy videos like this about Factorio, make sure you drop the like. Make sure you drop a like and hit subscribe as well if you want to see more. I really do appreciate y'all's support. It makes my day. In order to accommodate for the new resource demand, we began work updating our copper train supply first. We also built a new train station to supply oil to our new factory, which we are about to build. We're going to be using the oil to refine it into heavy oil, which we will then be able to process into lubricant, which will then be used to make electric engine units. Before we can make any of those, however, we have to make sure that we are producing electronic circuits and engine units to supply our assembly machines for the electric engines. This is the original factory I made for circuits, but I ended up moving it below the train in order to have space to be able to expand more later. Of course, not everybody was a fan of this idea, and we had some of our multi-leg neighbors call the HOA on us, so naturally we had to remind them of our Second Amendment using our tank. Our engine production was much more simple to put together because the only supply is iron plates. Oh, and speaking of which, I made a bus. It's a very small bus, but it's doing the job for now. And, you know, it's the motion of the ocean, not the size of the wave, as they say. Nonetheless, we are successfully producing engines, and that's all that matters. We'll put the two of these together and direct them to our electric engine production factory. Everything was going great until about 30 seconds later we stopped processing oil because our refinery got backed up with light oil. The general consensus from the chat was to resolve this issue with a solid fuel production factory with some chemical plants, so that's exactly what I did. As we solved the light oil bottleneck, another presented itself in our petroleum gas supply. We quickly routed it to the side to use it in producing sulfur, which we will later use to make sulfuric acid, which is a component for both batteries, which go into flying robot frames, and into making blue circuits as well. Naturally, the bugs hated our new addition to our factory. To be fair, I may have gone a little bit overkill in our pest control efforts, but it's nothing we can't rebuild. Of course, I also had to get my revenge on the next of kin of the bug that attacked my factory. And how convenient, I had these cannon shells just laying around. I'm sure this won't be the last time that we have to teach these guys a lesson. You guys remember when Harambe killed that fucking kid? We're going to go ahead and make a small battery production station using some of the sulfuric acid that we just started producing, and we'll combine the output from that with our electric engine units. No, that is sushi. What are you talking about? There's no sushi to be seen over here, except for the science belts. The science belts are pretty fucked, all right? We're not going to talk about that. But everything else is fine, all right? Now, seeing that I had an issue with the belts that are feeding our lab array, as chat so graciously pointed out, I'm going to do the equivalent of putting duct tape on the Titanic and drop a splitter into the mix. And now that science is flowing freely again, we can get back to our flying robot frames. We routed all 4 of our ingredients down with a combination of long and normal inserters at the end, and we finally are producing flying robot frames. Among the 3 components of yellow science, robot frames are by far the most complicated piece. So I was very, very glad to be done with that whole situation. Without skipping a beat, our next production goal is going to be for low density structures. In order to begin, we're going to steal some plastic from our chemical train and route that down so that way we don't have to produce any more for the time being. Then we'll make an iron and a copper supply belt using the bus that we made at the beginning. But before we could set up our assembly machines, I was rudely interrupted by a parade from the local Communist Party.
I don't have any ammo. I don't have any ammo. Fuck. Holy shit. I forgot I gave my ammo all to these guys.
And after dealing with our disgruntled natives, we finished our array for the low density structures. Much easier than the flying robot frames, just for the record. Because we already had a separate section for the base electronic circuits, our first goal was to build a separate factory for advanced circuit production. To do this, we created another copper supply along with combining the base electronic units evenly with plastic on the same belt. Then finally, after we routed more sulfuric acid down to our blue chip factory, we were ready to begin production.
Boys, we have blue chips. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, we can make yellow science. Guys, this is huge. This is fucking huge.
After all the hard work, it was finally time to put the whole thing together.
Come on, who's gonna be the first one to cook?
We're only making a small factory to begin production with, and using all three of our inputs routed onto two separate belts. Almost immediately as we began to produce yellow science, I realized how little resources we had. So although this is a huge victory and this is yellow science production officially, we will need to expand our resource inputs in huge ways as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I'm gonna kick back, feel the sand in my toes, and enjoy some fresh, raw fish. Until next time, friends.